So after finishing the IPO part, now we'll go ahead with the further public offer. And the best part of further public offer is it is very similar to your IPO provisions. Whatever we have covered in IPO, you'll find similar provisions in the further public offer. And in the module, you'll find something like this, like when we discuss about the reference date in the module, you'll find like this: regulation 4 and the corresponding regulations for this you'll find it written here. Like for example, with respect to the further public offer, the reference date is 101, so you'll find it like this: 104 and 101. Similarly, the entities which are eligible, or basically which are not eligible, so you'll find it like this: regulation 5, and here you are going to find it regulation 102, and it goes in the same sequence only. Similarly, the eligibility requirements, right, for coming up with the public issue, so we studied regulation 6. Okay, and here you are going to see regulation 103. So all the provisions are absolutely going to remain same, corresponding provisions for promoter contribution and everything. So you don't have to worry too much about FPO. We will just focus on, we'll study everything, but we'll just focus upon the peculiar points which are there. And I would also try to cover the similarity, like this was there in the IPO and this is in the FPO. So these are similar points, these are different points, so that you again get a holistic view of the entire provision. So when we start with the further public offer, like we go ahead with the definitions. By the way, I just realized that in past few lectures I had not covered few of the definitions. So after discussing the definition of further public offer, हम एक बार जो definitions है, we'll just go through some of the definitions. I have highlighted that in the um, PDF, okay, in the ICDR regulation only. I have highlighted it there, so you can just check it there. Okay, so just see further public offer. So further public offer means an offer of specified securities by a listed issuer to the public for the subscription. Now, further public offer may you are issuing shares to the public, and it also includes an offer for sale of specified securities to the public by any existing holder of such specified securities in the listed issuer. Now, a very silly question: OFS. So, sir, in case of a unlisted company, OFS समझ में आता है because the company was not listed. There is one investor who needs a exit, or the promoter wants the exit, right? So basically of some of his stake, promoter, not completely, but some of the stake promoter wants to give in. So you have this OFS and you give the shares because the company is not listed, so they cannot sell it outside. Why in case of a further public offer, why in case of FPO we have a concept of OFS? Quite possible the company, like quite possible means what, the company is listed. Okay, the company is already listed. So if there is any investor who wants to come up with OFS, can straight away go to the market and dump the shares. क्या problem है? Why do we have the concept of OFS in FPO? आपको question समझ में आया? Why I'm asking this question? See, company needs funds. There are only two types of public issue, like IPO, FPO, but otherwise the public issue can be by way of fresh shares or it can be by way of OFS. So in IPO, we understand fresh shares, money goes to the company. OFS, money goes to the selling shareholder. But why in case of FPO we have OFS? Fresh issue to समझ में आता है because company needs more fund. OFS में company does not need funds. Then why we have this OFS? Got my question? ये लॉजिक आपको समझ में आया?
Yes, sir.
So क्या, why this concept is there? Why do we have this concept? So there can be multiple reasons why the OFS may be required by the company. Of course, the investor can go and can dump the shares. But let's say there is a promoter who is holding, let's say 82% stake, and this promoter wants to reduce the shareholding, and he wants to reduce the shareholding to, let's say, 70%. Now just imagine what is going to happen to the share price if he comes and if he dumps 12% shares. What will happen when he'll come to the market and he will dump 12% shares? What will happen? The market will crash, correct? All of a sudden, you will see the sell order for 12%. So the market is going to crash. Now here you will say, sir, why he is at 82? He should maintain it at 75%. Okay, let's say he was or he exceeded 82% due to the open offer or something. Now he wants to reduce. Now what he can do? So there are multiple ways he can reduce it. He can negotiate with a he can negotiate basically privately with someone. But if he negotiates privately with someone, then the SAST regulation also comes into picture. Quite possible the other investor may attract the obligation for the open offer and he may have to give the open offer. So there are multiple exit options, and one of the exit option is what is OFS. So if it's a small quantity, he can definitely go and sell it in the market. If he gets privately secured, share purchase agreement one on one, which has been executed bilaterally between the promoter or the existing investor and some new investor, there is no problem. You can enter into the share purchase agreement and go ahead with it. Another way is the company can come up with the OFS. So this is one exit opportunity or one of the exit option which has been given in the company. So that's where the company comes in and company says that, okay, we will ensure that these 12% shares are sold and these are not just dumped in the market. Okay, लॉजिक समझ में आया? एफपीओ में ओएफएस क्यों
Yes,
है?
sir.
Right, so not a exam question, right, that why OFS is there in FPO, right? But you should have this understanding. Now before I just go ahead and I start with the eligibility requirements and the reference dates and all, I'll just quickly take you to the definitions. So we all know the definition of the act. The definition of the act means, basically act means the SEBI act, correct? So this is one definition which I wanted to discuss. Now we had seen the pre-issue advertisement, post-issue advertisement, and we also have seen there are various code of conduct for the advertisements, some do's and don'ts. So what is that advertisement? Is it only the pre and post issue advertisement, or so it is everything? Advertisement includes the notice, the brochure, pamphlet, show card, catalogs, hoardings, placards, and then it's basically play cards, and then you have posters, insertion in the newspaper, whatever is it is, even the print media, anything in the print media, electronic media, radio, television, everything comes into the definition of advertisement. Now why the definition of advertisement is important? Because let's say you come up with a hoarding and that hoarding has some misinformation. Can you say it was not part of the advertisement? So you cannot file any case against or the liability cannot be established because it was not the pre-issue advertisement nor it was the post-issue advertisement, it was just a hoarding. Now with the definition of advertisement being an inclusive definition where hoardings is also included, then in that case, any misstatement in any of the public communication, if you see, all these are what, all these are public communication. So anything which is in the public communication and has got some wrong information, some misinformation, the liability would be immediately established, right? So that's why it is important. And even in Companies Act, the civil liability, criminal liability, everything comes from here. Then you see anchor investor. So anchor investor means the qualified institutional buyer. I mentioned you that it's a QIB who has the application value of 10 crore rupees, right? Now you will also find this 2 crore. This is basically in case of your SME. Now if you see the definition of ASBA, so application supported by block amount, so it is used in case of public issue. ASBA is also used in case of right issue, where the application is filed to the self certified syndicate bank, so SCSB, which you are going to get, where the amount gets blocked, the application money gets blocked into the bank account. Then we have the definition of associate. So if you remember the associates of the merchant banker, so again associate means that 20%. Then we have the definition of board, which is SEBI. Book building definition, I again feel that they are not going to ask you in the exam, because this is a common question for CS executive capital market security law paper, but not in final. But in case they ask you, so at least you should be in a provision, in a position to write the answer. So just see, book building means a process which is undertaken to elicit the demand. Elicit the demand. Just remember, you have to use this word, that is elicit the demand. So this word has to be there, elicit the demand, and to assess the price for the determination of quantum or value. And you also get it for coupon rate for the specified securities and also for the IDR. Now, have we covered how is price determined in book building? Price determination in book building, क्या हमने इसको cover किया है? How is price determined in book building?
नहीं सर, ऐसा तो नहीं किया था।
Okay, so there is one working which I will show it to you. Probably in the FPO process, we will cover this. What is the process of the book building? Basically, how the cutoff price is determined. So you may get a practical question on that. We'll do one illustration there. Then some of the other definitions which I want to cover now. Designated stock exchange, so it is the stock exchange which is having a nationwide trading terminal and which is chosen by the issuer, where the securities are proposed to be listed, right? And there can be different designated stock exchange. So there is absolutely fine. And this is the draft letter of offer. This is another definition. Draft offer document. Employee definition is being given here. So the reservation for the employees, that's the reason the employee definition has been given to you here. Then we have the definition of further public offer, which we have just discussed. General corporate purpose, I mentioned you. General corporate purpose includes such identified purpose for which no specific amount is allocated, okay, or any amount so specified towards general corporate purpose, right? Any amount which is specifically mentioned that this is for the general corporate purpose for whatever name called in the draft offer document, in the draft letter of offer, or in the offer document. Also they have mentioned that the issue related expenses will not be part of the general corporate purpose. So if you remember, um, this was that barbecue nation 1800 crore, from that they had deducted the expenses and it was some 1600 some crore, and then they had mentioned this, that 75% of this amount and 25% of this amount was for the general corporate purpose. So expenses is not considered for the general corporate purpose. Then we have the definition of the green shoe option, which says that green shoe option means an option of allotting the equity shares in excess of the equity shares which are offered in the public issue as a post listing stabilizing mechanism. So what is the excess that you can issue? What is the excess which you can issue in green shoe option? What is the excess that you can issue? What is the excess that you can issue in green shoe option? If I am allotting 100 shares in my public issue, what is the excess that I can give? A maximum of
120%.
15. Maximum 15.
15%.
Maximum 15% of the issue size. What you are saying 120% वो book building के अंदर floor price cap price के लिए रहता है. Okay.
ओके सर।
Then group companies, I think इसके बाद कोई और definition नहीं है जो मेरे को cover करना है. IPO definition, I think we have already discussed this. IPO definition. Then institutional investors, qualified institutional investors, or the family trust which is having a net worth of 500 crore rupees or more, right? Of more than 500 crore. Then issue size, we had already discussed, it is offered through the offer document and promoter contribution which is brought in as the part of this. So issue size, if you remember, we made that chart. Issue size minus the promoter contribution, so you get offer through the offer document. From here we deduct the reservations, so we get net offer to the public, right? We have the definition of net offer also. Then issuer is basically the company which is coming up with the issue. We also have the definition of lead manager, who is basically the merchant banker, and in case of a book built issue, the same person would be called as the book running lead manager. Listed issuer, so we'll discuss right now. Listed issuer is basically right now for IFPO, right issue, preferential, and all those. Main board we had discussed, the stock exchange which has got term, two boards. One is the main board, another is the SME board. Net offer is basically offer through the offer document, but it does not include basically the offer price, which does not include the reservations and the promoter contribution. Then we have the definition of tangible assets. So all the assets excluding the intangible assets as per the accounting standard. Net worth has already been defined. This is same like your Companies Act only. Then if you see non-institutional investors means the investors other than the retail individual investors and qualified institutional buyer. Then offer document, it's a broad definition. It includes all red herring prospectus, shelf prospectus, right? And in case of the right issue, it will also include your letter of offer. Then offer through offer document, we covered net offer plus the reservation. Net offer is your NOTP. Then promoter definition we had discussed. Thereafter we saw the definition. So public issue includes both IPO and FPO. Qualified institutional buyers, we did it in detail. Then retail individual investors we covered, not more than 2 lakh rupees. Then we covered self-certified syndicate bank. So that is a banker to the issue which is registered with the board, which is offering the ASBA facility. Selling shareholder, the one who is offering the shares. Then stabilizing agent means a merchant banker who is again responsible for stabilizing the price under the green shoe option. Stock exchange. So the other day we had that discussion about Ahmedabad Stock Exchange. Remember? So just see, stock exchange means any stock exchange or any recognized stock exchange having a nationwide trading terminal chosen by the issuer on which the securities of the issuer are listed or proposed to be listed for a particular issue of specified securities under these regulations other than the SME exchange. So here if you see, the definition of the stock exchanges means any stock exchanges having a nationwide trading terminal. So at present we have only two stock exchanges. One is the National Stock Exchange and another is the your Bombay Stock Exchange, which has the nationwide trading terminal. Syndicate member is again the person who is responsible for placing the bids. Okay, the applications which are received from the applicants, they he uploads all the bids and the applications. He places the order and carries on the activity of the underwriter also. Then I think that's it. These are the definitions which I wanted to cover. Now, when we start with this eligibility requirements, so I'll keep on referring here that the similar regulation which you have in case of IPO. So reference date in case of IPO, it was regulation 4, which mentioned the reference date. So in case of IPO, what was the reference date? The reference date was the date of filing of the draft offer document with the SEBI, and it also includes the date of filing of the offer document with the registrar of companies. It's exactly same. Then we have regulation 102. This is similar to your regulation 5 of IPO, where it said that certain entities who are not eligible to make a further public offer. So if you remember, all those tainted investors, promoters, directors, right, they are being not allowed. Basically they are debarred from accessing the market. So same thing is here. An issuer shall not be eligible to make a further public offer if the issuer or any of its promoter or promoter group or the directors or the selling shareholders are debarred from accessing the capital market by the board. So ये आपका definition आ गया किसके लिए, with respect to the further public offer who are not allowed. Then if any of the promoter or the director of the issuer is the promoter or director in any other company, so that other company is also now debarred from accessing the capital market, then so that company can also not, it cannot come up with a further public offer. Then if the issuer, promoter or director is a willful defaulter or an fugitive economic offender, for 1 and 2, for these two, if the debarment right period is being given for a certain time, like if it's a lifetime debarment, then it's a separate issue. But if let's say you are being debarred for 2 years, you are debarred for 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, whatever that time period, as soon as that time period is over, after that you can file the draft offer document with the board for a further public offer. Then you have regulation 103. Now this is similar to your regulation 6. Now there is some difference here. It says that eligibility requirement for the further public offer. Now if you see regulation 6, regulation 6 में कितने conditions थे? How many conditions were there in regulation 6?
Sir, 4.
4 conditions थे. So in regulation 6 there were 4 conditions, and we also had something like this. In regulation 6 sub regulation 1 there were 4 conditions. Okay, if you fulfill these 4 conditions, you can come up with a IPO by fixed price issue or by a book built issue. But if the 4 conditions are not met, then your issue would come under regulation 6 sub regulation 2, and in that case it is going to be a compulsory book building process, right? यहाँ पर कैसा होगा? यहाँ पर ऐसा सिनेरियो नहीं रहेगा. Here it is going to be little different. Here you have this regulation, right? In this regulation, only one condition is there. Okay, there is no 4 condition. There is only one condition. If this one condition is fulfilled, you are free to come up with a fixed price issue or with a book built issue. And if this condition is not met, then you will have to come up with a compulsorily book building issue. Now one thing is common here. In this compulsory book building issue and here also in the compulsory book building issue, 75% should go to the क्वालिफाइड इंस्टीट्यूशनल बायर. ये आपको QIB के पास ही जाना होगा. बाकी यहाँ पर तो आपका सेम है. फिक्स इशू हो चाहे आपका बुक बिल्ट इशू हो, इट इज एब्सोल्युटली गोइंग टू रिमेन सेम. आप बताइए, ये क्लियर हुआ?
Yes, sir.
ये वाला पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ, राइट? तो आप अगर चेक करो कि आपका जो रेगुलेशन 6 है और यहाँ पे जैसे आपका रेगुलेशन 103 है, दिस इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम. अब हम यहाँ पे एक कंडीशन देखते हैं. बाय द वे ये 4 कंडीशंस क्या थे? जस्ट फॉर रिविजन, यहाँ पे आईपीओ भी रिवाइज हो जाएगा और एफपीओ का भी प्रिपरेशन हो जाएगा. 4 कंडीशंस क्या थे? सबसे पहला था नेट टेंजिबल एसेट. तो नेट टेंजिबल एसेट्स कितना होना चाहिए?
3 crore at least.
3 करोड़, करेक्ट. दूसरा कंडीशन यहाँ पे था एवरेज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट. एवरेज ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट फॉर द लास्ट 3 years, करेक्ट. कितना था?
15 crore.
इट शुड बी एटलीस्ट 15 करोड़, करेक्ट. देन इट सेड दैट द नेटवर्थ ऑफ द कंपनी.
Net worth.
So what should be the net worth? 1 crore.
1 crore.
And then there was one condition.
Name change
Name
का
change.
condition.
Name change, ठीक है. अब देखो,
सर एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था इसमें. सर ये रीस्टेटेड एंड कंसोलिडेटेड बेसिस पे होगा ना ये?
हाँ.
Okay.
हाँ. अब अगर आप यहाँ पे देखो, there is, see, इसको थोड़ा सा स्टोरी फॉर्म में समझते, इट बिकम्स वेरी इजी. सी, ये 3 हमें क्यों चाहिए? Why are we talking about the financial terms? That you should have a net tangible asset of 3, average operating profit of 15 crore, net worth of 1 crore. Because we want to ensure that not every company can come up with a public issue. Yes or no? कि भाई आपका
Yes, sir.
हिंदी में अगर सिंपल टर्म्स में बोलूँ तो औकात तो होना चाहिए कि पब्लिक इशू करने के लिए आप आ रहे हो. ये तो बताओ, हैसियत है कि नहीं आपका पब्लिक इशू लाने के लिए? और अगर नहीं है तो फिर ऐसे आओ. यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
अब अगर आप चेक करो, दिस कंपनी इज कमिंग अप विद अ फर्दर पब्लिक ऑफर, करेक्ट. अब अगर ये फर्दर पब्लिक ऑफर पे आ रहा है, दिस मींस ये तो ऑलरेडी सेटिस्फाई हो चुका होगा ना.
यस सर, क्योंकि पहली बार आईपीओ ला चुका है.
वो आईपीओ लेके आ चुका है. तो अब हम ये सब चीजों पे हैं. अब इररेस्पेक्टिव ये सेटिस्फाई होता है कि नहीं होता है, क्वाइट पॉसिबल द कंपनी में नॉट बी हैविंग अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 15 करोड़, द कंपनी में बी हैविंग अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ लेस. बट ये सब पब्लिक डोमेन में है. ऑल दिस इंफॉर्मेशन आर इन द पब्लिक डोमेन, प्लस द कंपनी इज ऑलरेडी अ लिस्टेड कंपनी. सो वी डोंट have too much restrictions. Now we have only one restriction, and which is with respect to the name change. और अगर कंपनी का आपने नाम चेंज नहीं किया पिछले 12 मंथ्स में, तो फिर ये कंडीशन भी आपके लिए एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. सो द ओनली वन कंडीशन विच यू हैव इन रेगुलेशन 103 इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द नेम चेंज, दैट इफ you have changed the name, then 50% of the revenue should come after the name change. If that has not come, then come up with a compulsorily book built issue. If that is there, then you are free to come up with a fixed issue, or you can come up with a book built issue. Does this make sense?
Yes sir.
Guys, does this make sense? तो IPO में FPO में ये डिफरेंस है. सो इफ यू सी रेगुलेशन 6 2-3 स्लाइड्स तक गया था. क्यों? क्योंकि उसमें वो मल्टीपल कंडीशंस था. हियर इट सेज दैट an issuer may make a further public offer if it has changed its name within the last 1 year and at least 50% of the revenue for the preceding one full year has been earned by it from the activities indicated in the new name. Okay, if it has changed the name. Otherwise, a company is free to come up with a further public offer. It can come up with a further public offer. Then it says that an issuer not satisfying the conditions stipulated in sub-regulation 1 may make a further public offer, but only if the issue is made through the book building process and the issuer undertakes to allot at least 75% of the net offer to the qualified institutional buyer. And it also has to do this undertaking that if the qualified institutional buyer do not take this 75%, they are going to refund the full subscription money. So for you all, what is the eligibility requirement for a FPO? There is only the name change, only the name change condition, and that too if any. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So आप अगर एडवाइजर हो कंपनी के तो आप क्या बोलोगे कि यार ये जो नेम चेंज आप कर रहे हो, डोंट डू इट राइट नाउ, or if you're coming up with the FPO, then just wait for 12 months if you don't satisfy this condition, because this is a more stringent provision. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
ये क्लियर हुआ? Okay, let's see रेगुलेशन 104. नाउ 104 को अगर आप यहाँ पे चेक करोगे जनरल कंडीशंस, दिस इज अगेन सेम लाइक योर रेगुलेशन 7. सो यहाँ पे क्या बता रहे हैं, एन इशूअर विच इज कमिंग अप विद द पब्लिक इशू. अब मुझे बताओ, व्हेन द कंपनी इज कमिंग अप विद द पब्लिक इशू, आई मेंशनड यू इन द लास्ट लेक्चर आल्सो दैट व्हेनेवर द कंपनी कम्स अप विद अ इशू ऑफ शेयर्स, लाइक आईपीओ आ गया कंपनी का, उसके बाद में whenever any new shares are going to be issued, whether it is pursuant to ESOP, sweat equity share, bonus issue, or let's say rights issue, or a further public issue, preferential allotment, private placement, कुछ भी आप यहाँ पे करो, there is going to be one requirement which is always going to be common, that you will have to make the application to one or more stock exchange to seek the in principle approval for listing. Okay guys, is this clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, and then you have to choose one of them as the designated stock exchange. Then the company will also have to enter into the agreement with the depository. This is similar condition for the dematerialization. Existing partly paid up shares should be either made fully paid up or they should be forfeited. And then the same firm arrangements. Now I need not explain this in detail, correct? I hope you remember this. Now I think you all can also make a comparison that इतना हमें आईपीओ में कवर करने के लिए पूरा एक लेक्चर लगा था, यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
एक या दो लेक्चर लगा था, 2 लेक्चर्स में हम यहाँ तक पहुंचे थे. और अभी अगर आप देखो तो हम लोग हाफ लेक्चर भी नहीं है, लाइक हाफ एन आवर के अंदर हम लोग यहाँ पर पहुंच गए एंड वी हैव कवर्ड दिस पार्ट. Okay, so these are the general conditions. So similar to that, then further if you see, okay, the general corporate purpose should not exceed more than 75%, more than 25%. So 75% is to be given to the stated objectives only. तो ये एक आपका पॉइंट है. नाउ यू हैव एडिशनल कंडीशंस फॉर द ओएफएस. सो आईपीओ में करस्पॉन्डिंग रेगुलेशन कौन सा था ये? दिस वाज रेगुलेशन 8. ओके, रेगुलेशन 8 वहां पर क्या कंडीशन डाल के रख रहा था, दैट द कंपनी विच इज कमिंग अप विद ओएफएस, राइट, आईपीओ विद ओएफएस, तो जो एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर्स है दैट वन इट शुड बी फुली पेड अप. देन द सेलिंग शेयर होल्डर्स शुड हैव हेल्ड दोज शेयर्स फॉर हाउ मेनी मंथ्स? The selling shareholders should have held it for 12 months. Remember? The
Yes,
holding
sir.
period of those shares
Yes.
should be at least 1 year.
1 year.
And उसमें हमने वो convertible वाला part भी count कर लिया था. Same provision you will get it here, that only the fully paid up equity shares may be offered for the sale to the public which have been held by the selling shareholders. Okay, held by the selling shareholders for a period of at least 1 year prior to filing of the draft offer document. Is this clear? राइट
Yes,
और
sir.
ये टाइम पीरियड हमें कब देखना है? 1 ईयर वाला. दिस इज व्हेन यू फाइल द ड्राफ्ट ऑफ अ डॉक्यूमेंट विद द सेबी. एंड देन इन केस ऑफ कन्वर्शन अगर आपका होता है तो वो कन्वर्जन वाले टाइम पीरियड को भी हम लोग काउंट कर लेंगे. सो वही सेम लॉजिक हुआ आपका. हियर इफ आई हैव इशूड, सो लेट्स से दिस इज -12 months. Here I had issued convertible preference shares. These preference shares got converted into equity, right? And now I want to come up with a public issue. So draft offer document, I want to file it to the SEBI. Can I do so? Answer is yes. Why? Because यहाँ से count किया जाएगा 12 months. So in case of convertible security, the holding period of the convertible security, right? The holding period of the convertible security will also be considered for the calculation of 1 year. Correct? Similar? Then
Yes, sir.
अगर आप यहाँ पे देखो, so it says that if the equity shares are arising out of the conversion, then uh, the compulsory convertible shares which are offered for sale, the conversion or the exchange should be completed prior to the filing of the offer document. I think someone needs to mute. Okay. Then further अगर आप यहाँ पे check करो, so further requirement यहाँ पे आपका रहेगा कि it is not needed, right? The holding period of 12 months or 1 year will not be applicable in case it's a government company which is similar, बिल्कुल exactly same cut copy paste है आपका regulation 8 का, that if it's a offer for sale by the government company and that is of a any SPV, then if the shares are being acquired under the scheme of compromise or arrangement or amalgamation, merger, demerger, right, and if it is through the bonus shares, provided जिन shares के ऊपर आपको bonus shares मिला है वो आपने 1 year तक hold करके रखा हुआ था, ठीक है, and also the reserves which have been used should be either free reserves or security premium जो कि exist करता था 1 साल पहले. So if you remember, while I explained you this point, मैंने आपको एक point detail में बताया था that why this condition is there, because if the reserves are being capitalized, if the security premium is capitalized that existed at the closing balance sheet, this means the amount was already invested in the company, but just that it was in the form of reserves and it was not in the form of equity shares, but still there is no problem. 12 महीने तो एटलीस्ट वो वहां पर invested रह ही गया, so there is going to be no issue. So if you see, the general conditions are exactly the same. Now after completing the general conditions, what we discussed was the promoter contribution. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
अब यहाँ पर अगर आप प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन में देखोगे तो थोड़ा सा चेंज है. ठीक, वहां पे हम रेगुलेशन 14 से शुरू करते थे एंड रेगुलेशन 14 स्ट्रेट अवे यूज्ड टू से व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी द मिनिमम प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन. हाउएवर हियर यू विल हैव रेगुलेशन 112 which would say that promoter contribution is not needed in certain companies. Now of course, because this is a further public offer, so it is saying that the promoter contribution will not be applicable in certain cases. वहां पर एक ही केस था जहां पे मिनिमम प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन का रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं था, एंड व्हाट वाज द केस?
सर जहाँ पे प्रमोटर ना हो सर, और एक रिक्वायरमेंट है कि जिसका डिविडेंड का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड हो.
सो आइदर द कंपनी, बेसिकली द प्रमोटर रिक्वायरमेंट विल नॉट बी नीडेड अगर आपके पास कंपनी के अंदर कोई आइडेंटिफाइबल प्रमोटर है ही नहीं. सो इफ देयर इज नो आइडेंटिफाइबल प्रमोटर देन यू डोंट नीड एनी प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन, मिनिमम प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन का वहां पे आपको रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं था. लेकिन यहाँ पर आपके पास कैसा है, if you see, the promoter contribution is not needed if the company is a compliant company. So see, either the company does not have an identifiable promoter or where the equity shares of the issuer is frequently traded on the stock exchange for a period of 3 years, okay, and the issuer has redressed at least 95% of the complaints which have been received in immediately the preceding month of the relevant date उस quarter में. Also it has been in compliance with the LODR regulation for a minimum period of 3 years, right? आपने LODR के सारे provisions को यहाँ पे comply किया, and let's say अगर आपने उसको comply नहीं किया तो यहाँ पर एक आपके पास proviso है, provided that if the issuer had not complied with the LODR regulation with respect to the composition of the board of directors for any quarter during the last 3 years immediately preceding the date of filing of the offer document, but is in compliant with such provision at the timing of filing of draft offer document, so such a non-compliance will not hamper the company or will not prohibit the company it will still, the exemption will still there, and it shall be deemed to be in compliance with those conditions. So LODR के अंदर multiple compliances are there, so you have to do. Now if the non-compliance is only with respect to the composition of the board of directors, but all other things are being complied, and even this composition of the board of directors, you have fulfilled the condition while you are filing the draft of a document with the SEBI, then again there is no problem. The company need not have a promoter contribution. Guys, is this clear? Guys, is this
Yes,
clear?
sir.
And
Yes,
then
sir.
provided further that where the promoter proposed to subscribe the securities to a greater extent than higher of the two options available in clause A of sub regulation 1 of regulation 113, the subscription in excess of such percentage shall be made at a predetermined in terms of regulation 164. Basically regulation 164 tells you the pricing of preferential allotment. It tells you the pricing for the preferential allotment. तो आपने उस प्राइस पे या फिर इशू प्राइस विच एवर इज हायर, उसमें अगर आपने शेयर्स को ले लिया तो भी आपके लिए यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा. अब ये एक पॉइंट है विच इज important for all of you, that in case of a further public offer, the promoter contribution will not be applicable in which cases. So one is where the company do not have an identifiable promoters, and secondly the scenario is where the company has redressed 95. So the second condition is the issuer company share is frequently traded. One is this, on the stock exchange for at least 3 years. Then it has redressed 95% of the grievances of the investors, and then it has been in compliance of the LODR regulations for a minimum period of 3 years. However, for the non-compliance of composition of the board of directors, if there was any non-compliance in during these 3 years, but is compliant at the time of filing of the draft of a document with the SEBI, then it will be deemed to be the compliance, and this non-compliance would be ignored. Make sense? Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. फिर अगर हम यहाँ पे देखते हैं नेक्स्ट प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन के लिए, so अब आ जाएगा आपका रेगुलेशन 14 का. एनीवे प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन कैलकुलेट करने के लिए, अच्छा, दिस इज बेसिकली द एक्सप्लेनेशन, राइट? दिस इज योर explanation of regulation 113. ये जो हमने यहाँ पे अभी पढ़ा था ना, रेगुलेशन 113. सो ये आपको पॉइंट बता रहा है कि रेगुलेशन 113 के लिए यहाँ पे आपको डिसाइड करना है. सो अगेन the promoter contribution would again come up to 20% only, but this time it won't be 20% of the post. So मतलब issue capital और सब नहीं, यहाँ पर वापस से क्या आ जाएगा, the promoter contribution will be computed, this is important, promoter contribution will be computed on the basis of the post issue expanded capital, assuming full proposed conversion of the convertible securities into equity shares, and assuming the exercise of all vested options for all the employees who are there at the time of the outstanding ESOPs at the time of further public offer. और वेटेड एवरेज फिर आप कैसे निकालोगे ना, व्हाई द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ वेटेड एवरेज इज नीडेड, बिकॉज आप कैलकुलेट करते हो कौन सा शेयर कितने टाइम के लिए था, तो उसके हिसाब से आप यहाँ पे वेटेड एवरेज कैलकुलेट करते हो. मे बी इफ वी गेट अ कैलकुलेशन illustration I will cover this, but otherwise आपको ये ध्यान रखना है, promoter contribution should be percentage of the post issue capital. Now what will you count in the post issue capital? Your pre-issue capital plus, so this is the pre-issue capital, then whatever you are proposing plus the conversion, full conversion plus this A plus this B, this becomes your post issue capital. और इस post issue capital का फिर वो 20% and everything would be calculated. I'll just make an illustration also for this part. So आप ये देखो, the promoter shall contribute in the public issue as follows, either to the extent of 20% of the proposed issue size or to the extent of 20% of the post issue capital. एक बार कॉम्पोजिट इशू को आप साइड में छोड़ दो। कॉम्पोजिट इशू बेसिकली क्या होता है, इन केस ऑफ कॉम्पोजिट इशू यू आर कमिंग अप विथ टू इश्यूज। अगर आप कॉम्पोजिट इशू लेकर आते हो तो ये राइट इशू के बाद में मैं आपको बताता, बट एनीवे कॉम्पोजिट इशू में क्या होता है, इन द सेम पब्लिक इशू और rather in the same issue you are issuing shares to the public, which is FPO, and here you also have the rights issue which you are giving to the existing shareholder. So composite issue इसको बोलते हैं। So composite issue के अंदर भी आपका 20%, so ultimately if you remember 20% आपको ध्यान रखना है। Even in regulation 14 it was what, the promoter should hold at least 20% of the post issue capital। तो यहाँ पर भी post issue capital, but what is post issue capital, ये explanation 1 के अंदर आपको यहाँ पे बता दिया that it should be assuming so pre issue capital plus your proposed issue size plus the conversion of convertible securities into equity shares and all the vested options, this becomes your post issue capital. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear? Right now, in case of public issue or composite issue, the convertible securities, the minimum promoter contribution would be again 20% only. So this you can again, it's again the same thing. मैं यहाँ पे आपको प्राइस बता, अच्छा जो भी प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन के लिए आप शेयर्स यहाँ पे देख रहे हो, इन केस ऑफ फर्दर पब्लिक ऑफर वेयर द प्रमोटर्स contribute more than the stipulated minimum promoter contribution, then you need to see that the allotment with respect to such excess contribution shall be made at a price as per the preferential allotment price or the issue price, whichever is higher. So in case of regulation 164 you have two parameters. Okay, you have two parameters, volume weighted average price of last 6 months and then 2 weeks. So you take into consideration these two, so in dono mein se whichever is higher and then the issue price. So basically you'll have three prices, A, B and C. In तीनों में से whichever is the higher price, the excess promoter contribution would be made at this price. ये क्लियर हुआ?
Yes, sir.
ये वाला पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ? क्लियर? When we do
Yes, sir.
preferential allotment, so that time we'll cover this, but अभी आप ये देखो preferential allotment में दो price निकल के आता है when you're doing a preferential allotment. So two prices are there and the issue price, so A, B, C, whichever is higher the promoter contribution would go in that price, at that price only. Then it says that in case the promoters have to subscribe the equity shares or the convertible security towards the promoter contribution, the promoters shall satisfy the requirements of this regulation at least 1 day prior to the opening. So ये again आपका same provision हो गया, promoter contribution should be deposited 1 day prior to the opening of the issue, and also uh, if the promoter contribution is more than 100 crore and the further public offer is for partly paid up share, the promoter should bring in at least 100 crore before the opening date of the issue, and the remaining amount can be gotten after the public issue is being made. तो similar provision अगर आप देखो तो आपको वो regulation 14 के अंदर भी देखने को मिला था, और ये वाला जो explanation था this was also same like your regulation 14 का explanation, correct? Do you want me to cover this in one slide as a illustration? इसको illustration की तरह cover करना है?
हाँ सर,
हाँ
एक
सर।
ओके, तो ऐसा आप लोग मेरे को बता दो ना कि कोई अगर पॉइंट कवर करना होता है तो, ठीक है? सो लेट मी जस्ट सी अ ब्लैंक स्लाइड. ओके, this is one blank slide, so here I can do, let's say this is a impromptu example for me, so bear with me if I do some error and all in between. So just see, let's say the pre-issue capital, मैं number of shares यहाँ पे बात कर रहा हूँ, let's say this is 1 lakh. Now the proposed issue is for, let's say, 70,000 shares. Okay, now there are convertible debentures, and let's say convertible debentures है 5,000, and each convertible debenture, one debenture is going to get converted into 3 equity shares. Okay, so 1 debentures is going to get converted into 3 equity shares. Okay, then you also have, let's say, ESOP which are outstanding. So यहाँ पे 7,000 ESOPs है and one option carries one equity share to exercise one equity share. Now what should be the promoter contribution? ये आपको पता करना है. Make sense? Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
ये example I've covered everything here. आप ये देखो, conversion, vested options and this. So अब आप यहाँ पे क्या करोगे? You will do the total of these. So you will say 1 lakh plus 70,000. Now here past trend shows that only 4,000 or only 80% of the debentures get converted into equity. Rest of them they want. So we'll say doesn't matter. We'll say 5,000 into 3 plus 7,000. Now if let's say one option has got 3 4 equity shares, तो फिर यहाँ पे equally हम वैसे करते, but I have just written it one. So this the total comes out to, this is 7,000 plus 15,000 plus 70,000 plus 1 lakh. So you'll say the post issue capital is going to be 1 lakh 92,000. The post issue capital ये हो गया 1 lakh 92,000. अब 1 lakh 92,000 का 20%. This will be what? This is going to be the promoter contribution. So this into 20%. So minimum promoter contribution is going to be 38,400. ये तो क्या हो गया? 20% of the post issue capital, or the promoters will have to contribute 20% of the issue size. So 70,000 का 20%. So this is 14,000. Whichever is higher. तो अभी आप यहाँ पर क्या करोगे? 38,400. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
अभी देखो इसको रीड करो यहाँ पे. So the promoters are going to contribute either to the extent of 20% of the proposed issue size or to the extent of 20% of the post issue capital. Got it?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो, if let's say 38,400 आपके पास है, let's say promoters already have 30,000 shares, so ये लोग कितना shares acquire करेंगे? 8,400 shares. Balance they are going to acquire. Okay?
Yes, sir.
अरे ये क्लियर हुआ?
हाँ सर.
राइट. अब अगर आप यहां पर देखो अगेन, either the 20% of the post issue proposed or to the extent of 20% of the post issue capital. Now here if you see, the promoter says that okay, 20% of the post issue capital में तो 8,400 shares आ जाता है, ये आप मेरे को acquire करना है. Now the pricing of these shares के लिए यहाँ पर आपको बता रहा है वो that in case of further public offer where the promoter contributes more than the stipulated minimum promoter contribution, the allotment with respect to the excess. So यहाँ पे let's say 8,400 shares उसको acquire करना है. Promoter say that no, I am going to acquire 20,000 shares. So ये 20,000 shares का दो breakup हो जाएगा. One is going to be 8,400 shares which is needed for the minimum promoter contribution, and 20,000 minus 8,400, 11,600. This is in excess of the promoter contribution, correct? So this promoter contribution would be issued at the issue price. Okay, but when we discuss about this 11,600, इसके लिए दो प्राइस निकलेगा. One is at the rate issue price, and second is at the rate the preferential allotment price under regulation 164. Now whichever is higher. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
ये पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ कि
Yes,
मिनिमम
sir.
प्रमोटर कंट्रीब्यूशन के एक्सेस में. ना इसका लॉजिक है, देयर इज अ लॉजिक व्हाई दे हैव दिस. सी what happens when the company does this preferential allotment, you just not take into consideration the current price. So let's say if the company comes up with a public issue, if a further public issue was made in let's say April 2020, आप मुझे बताओ उसका प्राइस बहुत ज़्यादा होता या कम होता?
सर कम होता.
Market crash हुआ था, so markets had gone down. So at that point of time, the company, if it would have come up with a further public offer, the prices would have been less. Now promoters को जो minimum contribute करना है वो तो चलो issue price पे कर लो, but in excess में जो भी आप यहाँ पे acquire कर रहे हो shares को, ये तो एक तरीके से गड़बड़ हो गया ना. If the shares would have been allotted to the promoters, only to the promoters, they would have used the route of preferential allotment only, correct? And in that preferential allotment, you would have not seen only the price in the month of April. You would have seen 6 months prior or 2 weeks. So 6 months का वॉल्यूम वेटेड एवरेज प्राइस जब हम लोग लेते हाई एंड लो का, तो वहां पे प्राइस हो सकता है ज्यादा निकल के आता. क्वाइट पॉसिबल द इशू प्राइस इज एट लेट्स से 210 rupees because the markets are crashed right now. But if you see the weighted average of the 6 months, past 6 months, last 2 weeks also, the prices may be less. But if you see the last 6 months, quite possible the price would have been let's say 280 rupees. Now what is happening is promoter is acquiring shares at 210. For others there is no problem, but with respect to the promoters, SEBI says that if you are acquiring in excess of the minimum promoter contribution, please pay either the issue price or the preferential allotment price, whichever is higher. Guys, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear? अब preferential allotment का जो price आ रहा है, because here SEBI sees it from the tainted glass that ये तो ना promoter यहाँ पे smart work कर रहा है and he is acquiring the shares कैसे? Through the public issue. So अभी preferential allotment करता तो he would have paid 280 rupees. So for him, it is actually not premium, it is actually a discount. So SEBI is saying that no, this we will not allow. Discount in the sense he would have paid 280 if it would have been a preferential issue, but since this is a public issue, he is paying only 210. So for this minimum promoter contribution, there is no problem. But beyond this, SEBI says that I see this transaction with the tainted glass, and I believe that यहाँ पे आपने कुछ ना कुछ झोल किया है. There is something that you have cooked up here. So you please pay a higher price. Now if let's say this 6 months price, this comes out to 150, yet the company is coming up with the FP of 210. So of course now SEBI would say there is no issue. Well, it's good, you should pay 210 to the company. But if it comes out to 280 rupees, the 6 months volume weighted average price, this comes out to 280, then SEBI will say that no, this is wrong, you should not pay 210, you should pay 280. But you will then counter that, just see, for these 8,400 shares I am paying 210 only, why this 280? So SEBI would say that we believe that these transactions are from not a pure vanilla transaction. There is some sort of planning that you have done, and we see this transaction with the tainted glass. So it doesn't matter whether it is a valid or it's an invalid transaction, we will charge you more. अब बताओ, this is clear? Guys, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
अब आप बोलोगे यहाँ
Yes.
पे, अब अगर आप यहाँ पे प्लानिंग करो, यू वुड से दैट चलो ये 11,600 शेयर्स जो है ये पब्लिक इशू के पहले ले लेता हूँ। तो अगर आप पब्लिक इशू के पहले लोगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली किस में फॉल कर जाओगे? प्रेफरेंस। अरे बाप रे, आई थिंक समवन नीड्स टू म्यूट। ओके, सो ये जो 11,600 shares है, if you say that we are going to acquire before the public issue, then if you acquire this before the public issue, then it will be what? Then it will be a preferential allotment only. So preferential allotment पे anyway you are going to shed 280 rupees. So again SEBI does not have a problem. If you say we will acquire after public issue, then also you will fall into the category of preferential allotment, and then again these limits are only going to be there. So ultimately you have no escape beyond the minimum promoter contribution. In case of FPO, the pricing is going to be this. Mark my words, this can be one of the exam question. This can be one of the exam question this way, and they would say find out what should be the issue price. Okay, guys, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
अब यहाँ पे अगर आप फिर से चेक करो, here it says that the promoter shall contribute in the public issue as follows. Let's read this once again. Either to the extent of 20% of the proposed issue size or to the extent of the 20% of the post issue capital, whichever is higher lower. तो यहाँ पे कुछ बोला क्या? यहाँ पे हायर लोअर कुछ भी बोला? चेक करो, ये देखो। So here there is a liberty. Okay, here there is a liberty. So in this case you can also say that no, I will acquire 14,000. तो ये जो हमने यहाँ पे 20,000 का bifurcation 8,400 and 11,600 किया है. So if you are representing the company, you would say 14,000 is my minimum promoter contribution and 6,000 is in excess. For this 6,000 I will pay more, and for this I will pay less. अरे समझा? और बेसिकली द इशू प्राइस. गाइस ये क्लियर हुआ आपको?
Yes, sir.
ये पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ आपको? नो?
Yes, sir.
आज मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट मोड पे हूँ बिकॉज आई हैव दैट कंफर्ट जोन ऑफ आईपीओ. IPO का एक comfort zone है, so I can be on a fast mode, but the topics which are not covered in IPO, I want to cover that in a slow and of course in a detailed manner. So ये clear हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? Promoter contribution, minimum promoter contribution in case of a FPO.
Yes, sir.
पक्का? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Everyone? विनीशा, मुस्कान?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
अच्छा, कोई ऐसा पॉइंट होता है ना वेर यू फील, जैसे ये इसका इलस्ट्रेशन मैंने आपको पूछा तो आप लोगों ने बोला, बट ऐसा कोई पॉइंट होता है ना जो आपको लगता है कि नो सर प्लीज गिव अ इलस्ट्रेशन ऑफ समथिंग. आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट फॉर जिनित, बट पूजा, विनीशा, मुस्कान, आप लोग प्लीज जस्ट सुओ मोटो रिक्वेस्ट वहां पे डाल दिया करो दैट्स अ नो, इसका आप एक इलस्ट्रेशन मेरे को दो, और ये प्लीज एक्सप्लेन इट थ्रू एन इलस्ट्रेशन और वट एवर द केस में बी. ओके, so make sure that this post issue promoter contribution and the price at which the promoter contribution would be made is again an important topic. So this can be one of the exam question. I hope you all are noting down separately the important or the relevant provisions for FPO. आप लोग इसको नोट कर रहे हो?
Yes, sir.
तो ये नोट करते रहना. Like I mentioned, this is important. The case where the promoter contribution is not applicable in case of a FPO, and then I mentioned it here. Regulation 103, what are the eligibility requirements for a further public offer? और यहाँ पे अभी हमने इसको डिस्कस किया, the pricing for the promoter contribution. Okay, now you have securities which are ineligible for the promoter contribution. So securities which have been acquired by the company, right, basically acquired by the promoter by consideration other than cash, revaluation of the assets, or capitalization of intangible assets, all this is what, all this is ineligible. And then if there is a bonus which is by way of revaluation of or unrealized profits from the issuer, right, or it, the bonus issue is out of the equity shares which are not eligible for minimum promoter contribution, then in that case it will not be counted. So let's say, to make this example more spicy, I would say that the existing promoter contribution of this 30,000 shares, इसमें से let's say 8,000 shares are not eligible because it was acquired by way of the capitalization of intangible assets, right? So balance 22,000 is eligible. So from 38,400, then you will deduct only this 22,000 and you will find out this amount. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
Right?
sir.
Simple. This is very simple. Okay. So this is what is given here. Then specified securities pledged with any creditor other than those for the borrowing by the issuer of the subsidiary. So the securities which are pledged with the creditor, then again you cannot have that as a part of the promoter contribution, except if it is pledged with the for the borrowings of the issuer company other than those borrowings by the issuer or by the subsidiary company, then there is no problem. Otherwise if the securities are pledged, then there will be problem. So promoter ने अपने securities को pledge किया है किसके लिए? For the borrowings of the issuer company or for the subsidiary company, then it is fine. But other than that, if it is not for the company or for its subsidiary, then in that case, if you have pledged your securities, that will not be counted. Now tell me, what if the securities are pledged for the associate company? What if the securities are pledged with the creditor by the promoter for the associate company? Then
सर इसमें सिर्फ सब्सिडरीज का दिया है तो एसोसिएट नहीं आएगा सर.
associate यहाँ पे नहीं आएगा. Now what do you mean by borrowings? Let's say the issuer company had purchased raw materials for which they could not make the payment. Now what they have done? The promoters have pledged their shares and they have given some sorts of assurance or comfort to the creditors that just give us some time, we will pay you. Is it borrowings? Is it borrowings?
यस सर.
Answer is no.
इसमें सर पर इसमें अश्योरेंस तो है ना पेमेंट रीपे करने का.
So the point is, this is borrowings or this is outstanding creditors. The outstanding amount for the bills जो आपका invoice है उसका outstanding है.
यस सर.
राइट? तो ये आपको ध्यान रखना है यहाँ पे. ओके,
यस सर.
ऑल राइट. तो वो काम नहीं आएगा. बोरोइंग्स मीन्स द लोन्स एंड ऑल. ओके, then if you see, specified securities under sub-regulation 1 shall be eligible if the computation of the promoter contribution, for the promoters computation of the promoter contribution, if such securities is again have been approved, acquired pursuant to the scheme. So scheme के अंदर there is again no problem, section 230 से 234 के अंदर. Then you have the lock-in restrictions. So ये वाला जो था ये आपका exactly same था जैसा आपने regulation 15 में cover किया था. Now lock-in restrictions अगर आप देखोगे तो it started with regulation 16 there. यहाँ पर भी आपको similar provision मिलेगा that the specified securities which are held by the promoters shall not be transferable for the periods as follows. So exactly word to word आपको same है. Minimum promoter contribution would be locked in for 3 years. Okay, and the excess promoter contribution beyond the minimum promoter contribution, this would be locked in for 1 year. Now the promoter contribution can be brought in by the promoters also, or it can also be brought in by the alternate investment fund or the venture capital, foreign venture capital investor, and this will be locked in again for 3 years. Remember, to the extent of 10% they can get it. Then regulation 116, lock in of specified securities which are lent to the stabilizing agent. अब stabilizing agent को अगर आप देते हो, so this is same like your regulation 18. This is similar to your regulation 18. And regulation 18 के अंदर वहां पर क्या था, that stabilizing agent को जो आप securities दे रहे हो, that will be outside the purview of the lock-in period, correct? But for remaining period it will be like during that green shoe option, जब तक आपका वो stabilizing period चल रहा है, उस time period पे there is no problem, वहाँ पे कोई lock in नहीं रहेगा. But once it is given back to the lending shareholder who, if promoter, तो जो 3 years का remaining time period है वो रहेगा, and if it is non promoter तो फिर जो time period आपके पास रहेगा. See, you have to see who is the lending shareholder, right? If the lending shareholder is promoter sorry, if it's the promoter, तो हमें पता है promoter के लिए it is 3 years. Now we know that the green shoe option period is for 30 days. So will it start after 30 days from the closure of issue? Answer is no. So 3 years will include the green shoe option time period, वो जो 30 days का time period था. And if let's say it is others, then again you'll have 1 year का time period, and this will also include the green shoe option time period. Guys, is this clear? Guys, is this clear, ये वाला point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then lock in for the partly paid up shares, exactly same like your regulation number 19, where it says that where the specified securities are subjected to lock in are partly paid up amount, the amount called up on such specified securities is less than the amount called up at the time of issue. So basically उसमें तब भी रहेगा. So basically देखो, ये आपका काफी theoretical point होता है. Let's say I have called for 8 rupees, promoters have paid only 6 rupees. Okay, so once the promoter pays 2 rupees, तो उनका lock in period यहाँ से 3 year के लिए count होगा. Okay, once they pay, so once they become pari passu with the other specified securities, the lock in period will start. So the lock in period shall end only on the expiry of 3 years after they have become pari passu with the other securities which were issued to the public. Okay, practically अगर आप देखो तो it's very irrelevant, because before you make the further public offer call, or all existing shares should be fully paid up only, right? So ये आपका वैसे कोई बहुत ज़्यादा relevance होता नहीं. And pursuant to ASBA, anyway you can say the shares are fully paid up, और 100% amount ही आप क्या करते हो, मंगवा लेते हो. Then inscription or the recording of the non-transferability. So with the share certificate either it will be there, or with the depository आप ये वहाँ पे inscribe करके रखोगे that these shares are non-transferable, so that no transmission can takes place. Then pledge of the specified securities. By the way, this was same like your regulation 20. And pledge of the lock-in shares, this is same like your regulation 21. So can you pledge those securities? Can you pledge those securities? Answer is yes, it can be pledged, but only to the scheduled commercial bank, or the public financial institution, or a systematically important NBFC, or a housing finance company. That's it. If the specified securities, if the loan has been granted to the issuer company or to the subsidiary company for the same purpose, right, for which the public issue has been made. Is this clear? And this pledging is one of the requirement of the term loan. Like the agreement which you have entered, this is one of the covenant that the pledge by the promoters is mandatory in the, until unless the promoters pledge their holding, the bank is not going to issue the loan. अगर ऐसा condition है, only then, otherwise you cannot. Okay, so same like regulation 21. Then you have transferability on lock-in and specified of the specified securities. So interstate transfer between promoter to promoter, is it allowed? interstate transfer between promoter to promoter, is it allowed? Answer is yes. Amongst the two person who are into the lock-in period, वहां पर उनपे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. So देखो, subject to the provisions of the takeover regulations, the specified securities which are held by the promoters and which are locked in may be transferred to another promoter or any other person of the promoter group, or a new promoter, or a person in control of the issuer. Just that the remaining person, like for the remaining time period, the new promoter or the buyer will have to hold the shares for that particular time period. तो आपका lock in period जो है वो continue रहेगा. Only thing, the share are going to change the hands, but the lock in period on those shares are still going to remain same. Isn't it same like IPO guys? Exact IPO जैसा आपको नहीं लग रहा कि IPO का पूरा रिविजन हो रहा है?
Yes, sir.
इसीलिए मैंने आप लोगों को बोला था दैट आईपीओ के सारे पॉइंट्स को आप रिवाइज करके रखना, बिकॉज देन दिस विल बिकम वेरी इजी. तो आज की क्लास में अगर मैं आपको बताऊं, सो वी हैव जस्ट लर्नड 4 or 5 न्यू पॉइंट्स, रेस्ट ऑल इज सेम लाइक योर IPO. Now also if you will see, we have the appointment of the lead managers, other intermediaries, compliance officer. This was what? This was same your regulation 23 of IPO. Regulation 23 of IPO, वहाँ पर भी ऐसा ही था that you need to appoint one or more merchant banker who is going to act as the lead manager. Then you'll also have to appoint the other intermediaries. So same point यहाँ पे आता है, the issuer is going to appoint one or more merchant bankers, right? And if the issue is managed by more than one merchant banker, then you'll have to provide the rights, obligations, and the responsibilities for each merchant banker, correct? And then at least one lead manager should not be associated with the issuer, so 20% wala point. And then the issuer in consultation with the lead manager is also going to appoint the other intermediaries. Then the issuer will also enter into an agreement with the lead manager, right? And also the agreement would be made for the other intermediaries. Also, if it is a book built issue, then you'll also have to appoint the syndicate members, right? Then the issuer is also going to appoint the registrar to the issue, and also there is going to be a compliance officer who is going to monitor the compliance of the securities law and for the redressal of the investor grievances. Then regulation 122, disclosure of the draft offer document in the offer document. This is same like your regulation 24, जहाँ पर क्या बोला गया, that your draft offer document, right, it should contain all the disclosures which are correct, and this will also be published in the draft offer document will also be made public. But whatever disclosures which you are going to give in the draft offer document or in the offer document, it should contain all the material points, and they should believe that this is true and adequate, correct? All the disclosures required under the Companies Act and again part of the ICDR regulation is being disclosed properly. Again, the responsibility is on the lead manager to exercise due diligence and also satisfy themselves about all the facts which have been made. So basically due diligence के ऊपर हम लोगों ने case study देखा था that it should not be you have taken the management representation letter or the letter of comfort and you say that we have done our due diligence. So that is not considered as a valid due diligence. Then this lead manager can also call upon the issuer, the promoter, the director, and also in case of OFS, the selling shareholder to provide them more information, because ultimately who is responsible? It is the lead manager who is going to be responsible here. Financial statements should not be more than 6 months old, the audited financial statements. Then you have this filing of the draft offer document, okay, and the offer document. So prior making a further public offer, the issuer is going to file 3 copies of the draft offer document to the concerned regional office of the SEBI, right? And then the lead manager is also going to issue the certificate confirming the agreement between the issuer company and the lead manager, the due diligence certificate, and in case of convertible debt instruments, a due diligence certificate will also be there. and compliance आपने किया इन इस पूरे requirement का. So this is again same. The issuer will also file this draft offer document to the stock exchanges, right? Then SEBI will specify changes, right? SEBI may specify the changes and issue the observations. वही same 30 days का time period है from the date of receipt of the draft offer document or date of receipt of satisfactory reply from the lead manager or date of receipt of the clarification or information from any other regulator or agency or date of receipt of the in principle approval from the stock exchange, whichever is later. Then if SEBI has specified any changes, you need to make all those changes, and then uh, the changes have to be highlighted and again filed it to the SEBI, right? So if the board specifies any changes, the lead manager is going to carry out such changes, okay, and then it has to also submit to the board highlighting all the changes that have been made in the draft of a document before this document is filed to the registrar of the companies. Okay, then the copy of the draft of a document will also be filed to the SEBI stock exchange, and also it will be filed to the registrar of the companies. So after, so SEBI will get three times. One is the draft of a document, then SEBI is going to specify changes, then you are going to make the changes, you will highlight those changes and you will file it to the SEBI. Then again SEBI will give a green signal for that, and then again you will file the offer document to the SEBI, to the stock exchange, and also to the registrar of the companies. Then this is all fine. The lead manager will certify all the changes and everything. Then this draft offer document will be opened for the public comments. कितने दिनों के लिए? 21 days. For 21 days, the draft offer document is going to remain open. It will be hosted on the website of the SEBI stock exchange and also the company and the listed the merchant bankers website, right? And within 2 days of filing of the draft offer document to the SEBI, the issuer is going to make a public announcement in English newspaper, Hindi newspaper, regional language, where the registered office of the company is situated, and it is going to invite for the public comments from the other people. Then all the comments which are going to be received, yeah.
सर मुझे एक पूछना था, अगर सपोज पब्लिक को अपने कमेंट्स देने हैं तो मतलब वो सेबी को किस रूट से देंगे
email id
कमेंट?
रहता है, email id is given
डायरेक्टली?
there. Yes,
ओके
email id is given there, the concerned person to whom the comments are filed, or you can give it to the merchant banker
ओके
or to the compliance officer,
ओके
right? Then just see, ये रहा ना, the lead manager will file after the expiry of the period specified, file with the board all the details of the comments received by them or the issuer for the public. So, कहीं पर भी आपका ये जा सकता है. And then the issuer and the lead manager will ensure the offer document which are hosted on the website, it contains basically uske contents and everything are correct. Then face value of the equity shares. So this is again same. The face value is to be disclosed. Pricing के लिए it is again same. The pricing will be determined with the lead manager. और अगर book built issue है तो price band जो होगा that will be determined with the by the lead manager only. Then price and price band, तो ये देखो फिक्स प्राइस इशू के अंदर प्राइस और बुक बिल्ड इशू के अंदर प्राइस बैंड आपको बताया जाएगा. यू विल बी गिवन अ फ्लोर प्राइस and the cap price is going to be 120%. This price is to be mentioned a day before, right, and determine the price later before. So basically यहाँ पे आप फाइनल ऑफर प्राइस आप बाद में यहाँ पे डिटरमाइन करोगे, एंड प्रोवाइडेड दैट द प्रोस्पेक्टस इनवाइटिंग बेसिकली विच इज बीइंग फाइल्ड टू द आरओसी विल कंटेन ओनली वन प्राइस. देन ये देखो, द फ्लोर प्राइस और द फाइनल प्राइस shall not be less than the face value, and the cap price is going to be a maximum of 120% of the floor price. Then where the issuer opts not to make disclosure of the floor price in the offer prospectus, so यहाँ पर it has to be given at least 1 working day before the opening of the bids, okay, together or together with the pre-issue advertisement. Then what is the basis of this it has to be mentioned in the basis of issue price. आपके ऑफर डॉक्यूमेंट में ये मेंशन अलग से रहेगा कि आपने ये प्राइसिंग कैसे कैलकुलेट किया, right? So that is the reason you will find all the memes which have been made for the Zomato, that all projected informations और सारे के सारे projected informations के basis पे you are saying that this is the issue price. Okay, so basis of issue price के अंदर वहाँ पे all those calculations would be given. Differential pricing exactly same, retail individual investors, right? And they can be given a discount but not more than 10%, right? Not lower than by more than 10% which is being offered to the other applicants. Then again, in case of a book built issue, the price which are offered to the anchor investors shall not be lower than the price which are offered to the other applicants, correct? And then composite issue के अंदर भी यहाँ पे आ गया. So basically rights issue और उसका difference जो logic. See, I'll tell you when the public issue will come. So let's say the current market price. Yeah, let's say the current market price of the share is, let's say, 170 rupees. Tell me what is going to be the rights issue price. राइट्स इशू किस पे आएगा, 170 पे या इससे कम पे या इससे ज़्यादा पे या 170 पे. लेट्स से राइट इशू प्राइस वुड बी 150 और इट इज गोइंग टू बी 170 और इट इज गोइंग टू बी, लेट्स से, 190 or it can be any. At what price the rights issue is going to be there?
सर 190 पे.
No, the rights issue will come at 150, which means less than the current market price. Reliance का last year rights issue आया था, so just go and check. And the reason is you are asking to your existing shareholders to buy the shares of your company. Okay, now if you say the current market price is 170, you only buy at 170 only, so the investor would say, why should I buy it from you? I'll go and I'll buy it in the market only, correct? So the rights issue price is always, remember in SEBI paper, executive capital market securities law, you used to calculate the value of right. This was one of the exam question, the calculation of the value of right. Even this calculation was there in your company accounts,
Yes, sir.
right? So the price is always less. That's how you used to calculate na, the X right price, come right price, and all those calculations we used to do. So the price
Yes,
is
sir.
going to be less. So of course, if it's a composite issue where you are coming up with a FPO and you are coming up with a rights issue, then in that case आपके obvious सा बात है, rights issue का price is going to be less and the FPO price is going to be more. So you need to give a justification that ये जो price है, let's say this is 170 rupees, whatever, I'm not going through the same example. So this is, let's say, 150 rupees and this you are charging 190 rupees. What is the reason why you are charging this differential pricing? So this has to be mentioned. Okay, तो composite issue में इसका justification. So SEBI is not saying that this is not allowed. It's just that give the justification for such price difference in the offer document and that would be all. Okay. Alternate book building अभी आपको मैंने बताया नहीं, so you can ignore. One thing that is not here is that discount should be given in the rupee terms and not in the percentage form. So ये जो differential pricing वाला आपने वहाँ पे regulation 30 के अंदर पढ़ा था, this is exactly same. This is exactly same like your regulation 30. Then allocation of the net offer. Now allocation of the net offer अगर आप देखोगे तो यहाँ पे it is not same like your regulation 32. By the way, in between there was regulation 31 which said that minimum offer to the public. You won't find this regulation here. After 128 straight away you see you have 129 which deals with the allocation of the net offer. IPO में एक बीच में regulation 31 आ रहा था, 30 was differential pricing, 32 was the allocation of the net offer. Then 31 was the minimum offer to the public. Now why this regulation is not here? It is because the company is already listed. Okay, since the company is already listed, SCRR तो वैसे ही by default उसके ऊपर applicable हो गया ना. So if the company is listed, by default it is complying with the SCRR requirement. So there is no need to mention separately that pursuant to this issue, your minimum offer should not go below of the minimum shareholding of the public should not go below 70 below 25, right? It should be at least 25. So takeover regulations aap dekh lo, that also mandates, even SCRR that also mandates. So it is not mentioned here separately. Now when we discuss here allocation of the net offer, so if you remember, we did regulation 103 which mentioned about the eligibility criteria, yes or no? So यहाँ पे दो आ जाएगा. वहां पर क्या था? रेगुलेशन 6(1) complied, non complied, complied fixed ratio, complied book building, and then not complied compulsory book building. Here you will have only two. So we will have the conditions of regulation 103 sub regulation 1. Are these conditions met? If these conditions are met, then in that case you are going to have a fixed price issue, या फिर आपके पास यहाँ पे आ जाएगा book built issue. Now this is not a compulsory book building, but if these conditions are not met, then this is regulation 103 sub regulation 2, and now you have a compulsory book built issue, and in this compulsory book built issue 75% should go to the QIB. Guys, यहाँ तक क्लियर हुआ आपको? यहाँ तक क्लियर हुआ?
Yes, sir.
Right. So from here we will continue in the next lecture, that's tomorrow morning. Okay. यहाँ से हम
Okay,
लोग
sir.
कल की क्लास में कवर करेंगे, एंड FPO हमारा कल कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. विल ऑल्सो डू द बेसिस ऑफ कैलकुलेशन इन केस ऑफ हाउ द कट ऑफ प्राइस इज डिटरमाइंड इन केस ऑफ अ बुक बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस. विल ऑल्सो कवर दैट, एंड कल FPO हमारा यहाँ पे फिनिश हो जाएगा. ओके, so that's it for
Okay.
this lecture then. Take care. Bye bye.